Okay, we're gonna get started here. First of all, I just want to say Hithichini na habathin, Hisispe na asitna, Hinana ainina na hote. My name is Micah, but most people call me Big Wind. I am Northern Arapaho. I'm from the Wind River Reservation in Wyoming, and I'm Two Spirit, and I prefer they/them pronouns. I'm gonna be starting us off in a good way and offering a prayer in Hinana Athith, our sacred language. Arapaho language. And so I'll start off. Hithitin na habathin, Hasisbe na Sitna, Hinana Inano na Hatina chat. Nihawa na wahanihi yasehi ni wahai hatta wahani hanuhu hat dana nebasihi hatta na nahisiti hita ahate hida au hauni hanku hajasa benedict then just shinihi. When I said is, Hithin and Habethan, is good to see you all here today, whether that be digitally, virtually. I'm glad that we're all sharing space together, as queers, and that I hope that everything, that everyone comes in a good way and that everyone can leave in that way, feeling more empowered to do the work that we do, feeling more centered to do the work that we do, and then the end says, like, essentially everything that I've said will become true because I've said it, in that way. And yeah, I was just playing some music for y'all. I'm also, I think, the first person that's going to be up, if I'm correct. Do I just go into that, or should I pass it over to Emma?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about queer spirituality, and then we are going to pass it back to you. All right. Okay, I can't. I think I'm on right now. Can you thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay, cool. All right. Hello and welcome. Everyone that is sharing space with us today. It means a great deal. I'm going to share something with you that I shared with our speakers a couple days ago. Queering spirituality is about reclaiming something taken from us, something hidden, something made ambiguous. For many of us at tender ages, we were unrooted from our ancestors, divinity, and bodies. We were too young. We were so young that our roots had no time to grasp onto something, to take anything with us. We were told to hide our queerness, our wholeness, and our truths. Queering spirituality is the naming and piecing together of how we relate to what made us. It is the celebratory reflection of realizing we are a complex and beautiful patchwork of a being. May we all find and fine-tune this radical power in us today. And so with that, again, Emma and I both welcome you, and all of the presenters today welcome you into this intentional space, and on a new moon, and Mercury and Gemini. Let's talk about that too. And also, we would like to thank one of the original presenters that won't be presenting today, TBN. They are an amazing, fierce person, and we thank them for all of their truths and their impact on what we are presenting to you today. So with that, I'll switch it over to Emma to share more about her and intention and what we got planned.
Thanks, Goddess. And thank you everyone for being here. This is, I highly recommend putting it on grid view for a kind of a more community feel. It just feels really amazing to see. I see a lot of faces that I already know and love, and a lot of new faces, and it's feeling really, the energy feels really good being able to see people in that way. And yeah, I just wanted to expand a little bit on that intention and share that I think for me, spiritual practices are often about coming back to that sense of truth and like wholeness of who you are. And in terms of queerness, I think if we're all coming from a place of truth, then each of our sense of queerness is going to look different. And so today is really a celebration of that difference in like what our queerness looks like. And the work that we've done to actively choose to come back to that truth, to our center, and to show up in our queerness proudly and like openly. And that act itself is directly disrupting this rather colonial concept that gender and sexuality are somehow a binary construct, and also disrupting this kind of whitewashed approach and assumption that there is a right way to be queer. So we're kind of here today to disrupt that, and also celebrate the work that we're doing through our spiritual practices to really understand what does queerness look like for me. So thanks for being here for that, and thanks for doing that work. And I just wanted to run through a couple like logistic things as well. And Goddess, if I'm forgetting anything, feel free to chime in. But first and foremost, I wanted to thank Brandon for being our moderator. Super, super helpful, supportive. Before this space too, I got to connect with Brandon a little bit, and that was really grounding for me. So thank you for that as well. But yeah, throughout this time, you can check in with Brandon privately if you're having any technical difficulties. Just private message Brandon in the chat, and he will help you to the best of his ability. And he'll also be dropping links and kind of ways of connecting with what the presenters are sharing if they have things that they're wanting to offer throughout the time. So check the chat during the next 2 hours or so. And I wanted to acknowledge too that sometimes in online formats, there can be like additional pressure to stay present and like in front of the screen the whole time. And so I want to encourage you not to give into FOMO and take care of your body throughout this time. If you have to pee, go outside, stretch, get a drink of water, get a snack, definitely do that. We are recording this, just the speaker view, so none of your names or faces will be in the recording. So if you missed something, you will have a chance to check back in. We'll send you the video at the end of all of this. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is that this is a free space, and we intentionally designed it that way, but we are accepting donations for the presenters and the organizers of the space. So if you feel inspired to support the presenters and the organizers, you can donate via Venmo at Wild Ride Collective with the subject Queering Spirituality. Brandon just typed that in the chat. And all donations with this subject will just go directly to the presenters and organizers for our time and energy in putting this together. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything, Goddess?
No, you're on it.
Okay, cool. Oh yeah, one more thing that I wanted to share is that this is kind of, for me, most things that I organize through the Wild Ride are learning experiences, but this is definitely like the largest, especially online space that I've helped co-facilitate and co-create. And so I'm like super open to feedback and hearing about your experiences at the end of this. I'm sure, I don't know, Goddess, if you feel the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Love letters, or maybe just letters of like, you could have done this better. That would be awesome, because we are really wanting to hold space for more of this work, and so we need feedback. We need you to be our mirrors.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to send out also, you can either reach out directly to our emails, which Brandon will send towards the end of the space. I like the idea of love letters and like shared experiences, but there will also be a form that you can fill out just to reflect briefly at the end as well, that you should receive in the next day or so. So yeah, I think that's all the logistic stuff, right? Okay, on to the juice. Okay, we're gonna start. We're gonna open up the space with Big Wind as our first presenter. Thank you, Big Wind, for blessing us with your sick DJ skills and the beautiful space you created in the opening prayer. I'm just gonna go ahead and read your bio before I hand it over to you. Okay. At the headwaters of the Missouri River, Micah Bigwind Carpenter Lott was born in Great Falls, Montana, to an Ani Nakota Ojibwe father and Northern Arapaho Hinana'e mother. Soon after, they moved back to the Wind River Reservation, where Bigwind was raised in Arapaho, Wyoming, for the majority of their life. As a two-spirit person, they believe everyone has both feminine and masculine energies and believe in embracing the duality of both. Bigwind has been a lifelong water protector, environmentalist, advocate, and artist. In 2019, they released Land Back, a free mixtape dedicated to the water protector movement, providing movement bangers and anthems. Today, today they will share some songs from this mixtape, and I highly encourage you to go check out the mixtape in full. It is dope. Let's welcome Bigwind.
Hey y'all, it's so good to be with y'all today, fam. When I was asked to participate, I obviously said yes and wanted to be able to like help in any way that I could. So for me, I feel like as a Northern Arapaho two-spirit person, my gender, how I express it, my androgyny, it's connected to my spirituality. In Hinana'epi, like our Arapaho language, the word for two-spirit is haha, and it's a special designation, saying that people have both, they possess both the masculine and feminine energies, and back then, because of this power that we possess, we had our own space in society. Two spirits, they believe that people came to us before they went out to battle, because they would say that we knew, we had an advantage of knowing both sides of a story. We were baby namers, song makers, and it wasn't until a little over 150 years ago that was changed for my people, Arapaho people, and for other indigenous people in the Western Hemisphere. We're talking over the last 500 years. So I feel like, for me, before I start, I have to, be real with y'all and have to address the elephant in the room. Now, the thing is that mainstream ideals of what we view as masculine or feminine, the ideas we have on gender in general, the heteronormative patriarchy, and the labels that we put ourselves in these boxes for their benefit, it's all colonial. And we cannot go any further into this summit without recognizing that. When we create containers, we're creating agreements with each other on how to create a safe space for each other, whether it's spoken about or otherwise. And so we can't go forward without acknowledging, with this summit, without acknowledging that if you live on the Western Hemisphere, you live on land that indigenous people were murdered and displaced from so that you could be here, right here today. And we have to acknowledge and honor, that queer, Black, indigenous, people of color are disproportionately affected by the violence and the oppression by the state. And if we want collective liberation, then we have to ensure the safety of BIPOC people in not only in our communities, but in the spaces that we create. And this happens by us prioritizing and making sure that indigenous and Black and people of color are heard. As we know, like, I feel like, as Black, indigenous, people of color have been at the forefront of the queer liberation movement since time immemorial. I think of, one of my, two-spirit idols, and that's Wewa, and they went and met the president back in the 1800s, as a queer person, as a queer two-spirit person, dressed in, not fitting into the colonial norms. I also want to bring in, Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and Miss Major, and the list goes on of POC, queer people that we would not be able to have this space if it weren't for them today, you know? I don't think that, you know, we could have this gathering without it being possible for the BIPOC queers that I had mentioned. And I also want to call them into this space as we give each other this opportunity to transcend these volatile times, you know, and nourish our collective queer spirits. May they guide us in our personal and collective spiritual journeys, while helping us undo indigenous invisibility, anti-Blackness, and dismantling white supremacy in all of these queer spaces. And so would it be. I'm going to start off with a traditional song of ours, you know, for Hinana AP, you know, rap pose. The water doesn't really have a gender. A lot of things have gender, they possess gender. And so, you know, the way I stand, the way that I believe is that, you know, as a lot of indigenous people and a lot of people we all have different beliefs, but I believe that water is a queer spirit, you know. She's loving, and they're loving, and they're masculine and they're feminine. They can be hard, they can be rigid, you know, but they can be soft, and they can, you know, fall through your hands. And so, you know, I want to honor that spirit, you know, that queer spirit. In this song, the lyrics is ho nech, that means thank you, water. Not all about that habunani, that means the spirit, this spirit that it take pity on us because we need it for our survival. Ho nech, no obata ho nani ho nech, no obata ho nani 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 anaya abata neta enuhu ho nech, no abata ho nani ho nech, no abata ho nani 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 anaya abata neta enuhu nech, no abata ho nani ho nech, no abata ho nani 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 anaya abata neta enuhu ho nech, no abata ho nani ho. I'm gonna get this started. I'm gonna I'd like to thank you all for listening to that, you know. And want to start this off in a good way. I woke up this morning giving thanks to the creator, put my hands on the ground to mud the earth. I put tobacco down and smudge so I could thank her. Reduce, reuse, recycle, resist. so we could protect the land and also stand against the man that be killing all our dreams and poisoning all the land. Sometimes I just don't understand how the selfish stance of the upper man has dominance in our own lifestyle, but I just keep growing slowly past the rubble, picking up the garbage of a corporation, cleaning up the mess of an industrialized nation. You think you'll be a disgrace to leave the land like this, but most people just walk by. They never blink, look, or hiss to them. We've always thrown our trash on the ground. Most plastics will never biodegrade into the soil, and all plastics just come right straight from that oil. So I finally asked Creator, what can a native do? I'm just a servant to your glory. You created me, so now I can create things too. We can find a solution to solve the problems affecting our communities, but in this instance, I'm just trapped inside this human being. So it can feel limiting when I'm standing up to a corporation. So it can feel limiting when I'm standing up to a corporation. Yo, I just wonder what's God's plan. Can you CC me on their messages? So I can call a couple wars, care retaliation for their negligence. Until then, I guess I'd just be picking up the trash, pick it in and match, protecting every opportunity because it just feels right though. Just feels right though. Yo. I said I woke up this morning giving thanks to the creator, put my hands on the ground to Mother Earth. I put tobacco down and smudge so I could thank her. Reduce, reuse, recycle, resist. So we could protect the land and also stand against the man that be killing all our dreams and poisoning all the land. Sometimes I just don't understand how the selfish stance of the upper man has dominance in our own lifestyle, but I just keep growing slowly. And that one is called Woke, Part 1. And I think I have a little bit of time to show you the second song. I appreciate all of you listening. Like they said, you can find my link to Land Back, and I'm going to show you part 2 to this song. You know, the conception of the song is, I think you come from a society that likes to think that they're woke, but I feel like to have that mentality, we have to have that connection with the land. Let's see. Yeah. I woke up this morning giving thanks to the creator, put my hands up to grandfather's son and thank them for organic tobacco in a paper. This ain't commercial abuse. I'm trying to have a conversation with the plant life, the spirit, the energy that flows. Absorb the energy, talk to them and we will grow. Drink a cup of netch, eat some Dutch, listen to your heart. Giving thanks is just the start to spark your true being. Everything is connected in the World Wide Web. We just had to look for the messages. Now, I ain't talking about the internet because the universe has answers for us specimens. God's plan, God's creation, they take pity on us. So we thank them every day. We pray for those lessons and the blessings and the people that descend in our way. I was sent here to teach you, to elevate past the distractions and the hate. I was sent here today to educate and inspire you so you can light that fire, because it can't do that for you. Just know I'm rooting for you and know I'm praying for you. So keep slaying and paving a new road to the future. Don't forget to love yourself. You see, you are the keys. You know all your needs. You can plant them seeds in your head and nourish them into these flowers in your bed. Brush your teeth and take your vitamins. Listen to the light within. Use your earth's medicine. Use your red medicine. Our blood flows through this continent. We weren't born just to spend, we were born to defend. It's time that you transcend this dream you were born into. You don't fit in it. It doesn't represent what our ancestors died for, but we're resilient people. Yet the settlers still acting. I think they forgot that we're the indigenous people. It's okay, you just forgot who you are. Welcome back. I'm not here to attack you. Tell you fucked up, abuse you like that. It's okay, I've been down that road before. Welcome home. Your body is a temple. Your body is a vessel. The ultimate tool that's really fundamental. If you want to be around here, there's no need to dispute or refute that your birth on this earth could be worse. And even when you're in them pits, I want you to climb out and remember your worth. Look, I know sometimes it hurts being stuck in a hole, but only you can save you. So it's time you start making goals and connections that appear reflection of an ultimate ascension. Let go of all the aggression that's pent up from the trauma. Forgive your enemies, I'm not saying befriend. I'm telling you, just let them be because you're pure energy. And if you're feeling me, you won't be burning bridges, but you might be burning leaves. Peace, love, respect, and unity. Through this human being, your soul's at jeopardy if you don't act right now. Stop tweaking, drinking, thinking that you can fill that hole with things that you can buy just to vet your soul, cause only a temporary fix. Come on, cousin, you're better than this. If we descended from the chiefs, then we have to become the leaders in our communities and lead them out the shade. I just wanted to remind you who you truly are. Let's be clear so you can remember why you're here. I woke up this morning giving thanks to the Creator, put my hands up to Grandfather's son and thank them for organic tobacco in the paper. This ain't commercial views. I'm trying to have a conversation with the plant, like the spirits, the entities that flow. Absorb the energy, talk to them, and we will grow. Thank you all for listening. Pass on to the next performer or author.
Thank you so much, Big Wind. And I'm glad that you brought up how queer folks have been at the forefront of movements of throughout our history and before colonization. And I encourage each and every one of you, if for your own spiritual practice, me and Emma actually talked about this. We weren't sure like who all to name that were queer leaders within spirituality. And so we wanted to admit we didn't know. And so we encourage everyone for your own spiritual practice to look up people, especially QT BIPOC people who are leaders within your own practice, and learn from them, because it'll give you another perspective and root you deeper into your own practice. So thank you so much, Big Wind. Next up is Emma. Emma identifies as a queer, cis female, white-bodied educator, witch, and organizer with a deep passion for play-based learning. Her spiritual practices are influenced by her background in early childhood education, Buddhism, witchcraft, and transformative justice work. Emma balances most of her time between teaching at a contemplative preschool and organizing the Wild Ride Collective, whose mission is to support the unlearning of values inherited through capitalism, white supremacy, and cisheteropatriarchy, so we can begin to co-create experiences of our whole human truth. When she is not organizing or teaching, you will most likely find Emma playing pretend, dancing, loving up on friends, or working on spells and potions. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you. Thank you, Goddess. And thank you, Big Wind. That was really powerful way to open this space. Yeah, I want to, for the next like 10 minutes or so, I wanted us to do something a little more interactive, like leave the screen and go do something kind of more, interactive and like using our bodies and imaginations a little bit. So we're going to spend the next like 10 minutes or so building our dream queer fortress. Shout out to Sarah, who's tuning in from their fort that they built a month ago and have not taken down in their living room. And yeah, I'll just, before I open up the offering, I just wanted to share a bit about where I'm coming from in this offering. Like Goddess said, I'm an early childhood educator. I'm also a Buddhist and a witch, and I have a lot of background in transformative justice work. And for me, the kind of thread that weaves all of those practices together is this thread of magic and play. And I consider play a really powerful conduit for unlocking these things that we feel are fixed about ourselves in terms of our mental patterns, our identities, our ways of relating to ourselves and the land and each other. And so when we can play pretend and we can tap into that kind of childlike state of anything's possible, we can kind of expand the realm of possibilities for how to learn how to better love ourselves and each other. And so I also in the past, I work at a Buddhist preschool, and in the past 2 months during the pandemic, it's become an online platform. And I have found a really fun practice to do with my kids in the Zoom classroom, where we can kind of build a space for them to retreat to throughout the time when they're getting overwhelmed from like looking at the screen. And it's also like the physical act of building something, I've learned in my work in early childhood development, is really regulating for the nervous system. So we can kind of relax a little bit more and integrate our body's wisdom of like moving things around and getting our bodies involved as a way of then being more open to absorbing the rest of the summit. So I also wanted to just offer some suggestions that I've learned from my preschoolers for how to build a cool fort. So I encourage you to grab, let's see, their favorite materials were plants, pillows, and blankets. They also inspired me. It seemed like most of them were interested in creating something protective around the space. So I've been using my tiger friend Lisa as like the guard for my forts. And then I have Charlie, the androgynous witch, who usually watches over the space. So if you have any stuffed animals or loveys or anything in the space, I encourage you to grab that as well. But you can also use, your mind for the protection as well. I've had kids create like a force field or a hot lava river around the space. So mostly don't think too much about it and be excited to activate this kind of childlike imaginative space. And the intention of this fort that you're going to build is that it's for you, and it's a space for you to return to, where you can feel really relaxed and open to understanding yourself and what queerness means for you throughout this time together. So the last suggestion that I'll make is see if you can make your fort somewhere that's like off screen, but close enough so you can hear the presenters. So if you want to go lay in it or play in it during this time, you can still hear what's going on, but not necessarily have to be right in front of the screen. So let's go to the spot where you want to build your fort. And gather your materials. If you're using just imagination and you don't want to physically do this, that's also welcome. I'm seeing someone say that you're not able to participate, but I'm wondering if it would also be fun for you to just do this exercise mentally. Maybe it's not quite as fun as building a physical fort, but. Okay, and then before you start building, just take a minute to sit in the space and move your body a little bit. And take a deep breath and close your eyes. And imagine what your ideal queer fortress looks like. Notice what type of architecture it has, what colors are there, what textures, are there any sounds? What types of spaces are in this fort? And notice how you feel in the space. And lastly, notice if you want to invite anyone else into this space. Do you want an imaginary friend or a stuffed animal to snuggle up with? Or perhaps this space is just for you. And now see if you can stay in this imaginative state and begin to actually construct the space. And see if you can invite in the colors and textures and sounds and feelings that you had in that brief mental exercise. And we'll come back together in about like 5 minutes. Okay, have fun. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I hope that in that experience of building a fort for yourself, you were able to find that you kind of already have what you need to create a container for yourself, to feel whole, to hold, the fullness of who you are and your whole damn truth. And yeah, I wanted to also offer that if you're feeling super proud of the fort that you made, to take a photo of it and share maybe a little bit about what you were envisioning when you built the fort, and shoot me an email. Brandon just sent my contact info in the chat. And yeah, I'm going to transition now into introducing our next presenter. And I want to suggest that for this next offering, you spend some time in your fort. It's Shirley and I connected about this beforehand, and it feels like they kind of go hand in hand. So it would be nice to kind of feel relaxed and laying on the ground for what Shirley is about to share with us. But yeah, so next up we have Shirley Mankin. Shirley identifies as a multiracial South Asian American woman of color. She works as a community organizer and as a yoga teacher. Shirley spends a lot of her time desperately trying to meld together two separated worlds: the bodywork spiritual realm and social movement organizing. She's combining her skills and knowledge from ethnic studies, women and gender studies, and community organizing with her deepest passion, meditation, Buddhism, and yoga, to try to create something that can be transformative, healing, and, gasp, pleasurable for her community. She is also prone to making poor jokes while traversing the rigors of being an organizer in a place like Fort Collins. When not being self-referential in a bio, you can find her spooning with her dogs, biking around town, dancing, or reading a book. All right, let's hand it over to Shirley. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Emma. And I'm excited and really honored to be here. So if you are in your fort, then I encourage you to stay if you would like, or find a comfy, cozy place, or go near a window or somewhere close to some plants or some sunlight for this offering. So just a few thoughts beforehand. Where I'm coming from with this is, for me, this time has been where I found myself more sensitive to patterns of connection and separation, and finding myself in a place to reevaluate how I'm in relationship with myself, with others, with the land, with the more than human, and how we've been conditioned to think only of ourselves, our biological family, or groups that are the size or structure of a nuclear family, and conditioned to think within these walls or borders or binaries and static identities where we're separated from our bodies and separated from the land. And that this narrative of separation is just an illusion. And I vision ourselves bursting out of the cracks in the asphalt like dandelions as we continue to reach to each other through a lot of the grief and uncertainty right now, and just remembering what it is to be outside of these colonial binary structures, and that the earth is and always has been the queerest. It's always been outside of these things. And if you love on the earth, and the earth has always been inside of you. So that is how I've come to this kind of visualization I'm going to be offering today. So a visualization is just a guided meditation journey of sorts. It can be experienced like a daydream or like a story, depending on how deep you want to get, on how your own imagination, how open you are to the images I provide. And this particular visualization is based off of growing up near the water, my time in Chicago, that I spent working as an artist and with some people in the parks department there. So we're going to start by, again, making yourself really comfortable, settling down. Invite yourself to just let go of your day so far. And when you're ready, you can close your eyes if that feels safe. And just take a deep breath. And breathe into the darkness that's behind your eyelids. And listen to my voice. I just encourage you to continue to breathe in a way that kind of weaves in together both your inviting you back into your body. Imagine yourself, you're standing up and looking down, you notice that you're completely barefoot and that your toes feel the crunch of warm sand underneath them. And looking around, you find yourself in the eye of this tremendous and slow moving storm. There's strong winds swirling all around you, pulling trees and buildings and debris around and around. But where you are in the middle, surrounded by this storm on all sides, there's the stillness. Directly above you, as you look up, you see there's this perfect circle of blue sky. And just like the sky, you're calm. So you turn to look at the storm. Staring into the wind, you see all of the troubles that you're coming out of. These troubles moving further behind in the distance, swept away from you, moving into the depths of this storm. You look ahead and you know that there are more challenges ahead of you, yet still you're calm. You breathe normally, just taking it all in. You watch these swirling familiar objects and obstacles shed from your past as they meet the unknown future, there, and there, swirling in the storm. Some parts of the storm are so thick, at first it looks like a wall, but you know it's just sand, just like the sand that's beneath you. And with each careful step, you feel the earth support beneath your feet. As you slowly walk along the sand, and then you take a step and your foot touches cool, moist soil that's firm and damp, tamping down underneath the weight of your body. It makes whispering sounds that are softer and deeper than the sand as you step. Caught by this small and present surprise, you barely even notice the water that's dripping on your head. You look up as the rain is splashing your face, cleansing you. You reach your arms out, touching the rain, and as you lean forward, you slip into the strong winds, and you too get swept up in the storm. Spinning around, you glimpse the coulds, the shoulds, the wants, different attachments of your life so far, each with a familiar reverberation that you feel in your body. There's this buzzing, this humming. You see it all in the storm as you take a new breath. The vibrating slowly starts to stop as you reach the still blue sky and you float. And the buzzing, the humming, the swirling ceases. And afterwards, you feel your body, noticing a difference from before. You start to lower slowly down, lowering down from the sky. You see that your body has become the body of a dandelion seed. And there's feathery tendrils that are being tickled by the soft breeze as you're drawn down inch by inch. Every now and then there's a different soft breeze that sways you this way or that. Eventually, you land as you touch soft, rich soil, and not just on your feet this time, but all around you is soft earth and the smell of these rich roots, honey, rocks. Feeling at home, feeling deep sense of belonging in the earth. You have everything you need right here with you for the next part of your journey. You have always known this. You take a deep breath in and out. Back now in your human body, back in this room. And slowly blink your eyes open. Stretch out your body in any way that feels good. And welcome back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shirley. I'm sure I'm not the only one that can say that resonates so much for what we are currently going through and what this summit is about seeing all of the things whirling around us and realizing we are centered and we are calm, and how that plays into queerness and our spiritual practice and our own divinity. So thank you. Remind me to book a session with you after this. All right. Our next presenter is Bill. Thank you, Bill, for joining us too. Bill is a doctoral student in counseling psychology. He studies individual and collective trauma and is an avid spiritual practitioner, cultivating an organic and affirming spiritual practice through meditation, ancestor work, and somatic practices. They bring a critical lens to Western healing practices, in particular their power dynamics and relationships to systems of dominance. He is queer and spends a lot of time utilizing somatic practice to find a deeper spiritual embodiment of their truest self outside of the ill-fitting clothes patriarchy bestowed upon him, and is often humbled by the difficulty and enormity of that task. He likes being soft and political, angry and cuddly, supportive and challenging. I'll pass it to you, Bill.
Good afternoon, everybody. Really grateful for Emma and Goddess organizing all of this, for all of the presenters and all the beautiful things they've shared already and the beautiful things to come, and getting to see all of these beautiful people and be connected with all the people that have your cameras off. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So I want to be affirming about that. I'm going to offer a short practice that really focuses on grounding and centering, and then connecting with your queerness in whatever way feels most affirming and accessible today. Really wanting it to feel fairly spacious and low pressure. And also want to really invite you to check in with yourself. You know, we've got a lot of different people presenting, sharing a lot of different spiritual practice and art with you. And so if what I'm offering sounds like what you could use right now, let's roll with it. And if not, don't be afraid to shut off your camera, take a stretch, take a 10-minute stroll, come back, whatever you need. Yeah, I think the biggest gift that spiritual teachers and friends have shared with me is that constant returning back to self and honoring where I am at the given moment and what I need and what the people I love need. So Just want to offer that. And so to start, we'll do some grounding. And when I say grounding, I define that as connecting with our senses to locate our bodies in space. And so I'll have you check in with each of your senses. You don't have to seek out anything with your senses, but just gently connect with them and notice what they're sensing in you and in the world around you. So first, you can connect with your sense of hearing. And then your sense of taste. Next, your sense of smell. Next, your sense of sight. And finally, your sense of touch, particularly noting where your body comes into contact with the world. And at this point, take a moment to identify a sensory point in your environment that feels particularly like safe, strong, grounding. It could just be where your body touches the earth. It could be a picture or a piece of art that really feels comforting or warm to you. Just a point in your environment that if you feel thrown off or you hit an edge that you didn't expect, you can touch into and feels like brings a sense of resource and strength to you. Next, taking a moment to connect with your posture, finding the posture that feels the most naturally supportive for your body in this moment. You can welcome any stretching, adjustment, shaking it out if you feel like you need to. If you're nervous like me right now, because I'm talking to a whole bunch of people, some I love dearly and some I don't know. We'll take a brief moment to scan through our upper bodies. I'll give you a little bit of guidance on this. And at each place, you don't want to force a sense of relaxation. Just at each place, bring a sense of gentle attention and care, welcoming whatever relaxation is available to you in the moment. We don't need to fight with our bodies to relax. Just find what's available today in this moment. So first you can touch into your temples and your eyes. Then into your jaw and your mouth. Next, touching into your neck and throat. Your upper back and shoulders. Your chest. Your diaphragm and your mid-back. Your stomach and your lower back. And finally, your hips and pelvis. And from here, from this grounded place, we'll take a moment to center. And that's finding the place in your body that feels the most naturally strong today. So just take a moment to scan your body, find the place that feels the most strong. place that you can draw a resource from. It could be anywhere. It could be your stomach. It could be your heart. It could be your fingernails or your hair, your sit bones. Whatever just feels the most strong today. There's no right way or wrong way. Just taking a moment to connect with that place and breathe with that place. From here, while remaining connected with your center, allow your attention to expand and include your whole body. Notice what it's like to be with your whole body as it breathes. Notice a sense of your dimensionality, the space that is yours. And while remaining connected with your body, allow your attention to expand and include the space around you. Include a sense of the dimensions of the space around you, sense of the temperature of the air, sense of the objects, beings or creatures that might also be around you, and a sense of connection to the other people in this gathering. And then gently coming back to center, take a moment to connect with a sense of care in whatever form is accessible to you today. Could be a sense of warmth, a sense of light, a texture that you really enjoy. And take a moment to just notice what it's like to hold your body, your mind, your spirit with a sense of care. And you can call in some support for this, whether it's a loved one, a pet or animal, place or experience that helps you connect with a sense of care. And from this place where we've done some grounding, some centering, connected with that sense of care, I want to welcome you to gently connect with the fullest sense of your queerness that you can access today. You can try putting on your pronouns or a name that really represents that to you, whether it's one that you share with people or is just for you. Or if it's a shape, a color, an image, an experience, a relationship. Whatever it is that helps you to feel connected with your most vibrant and full self. If you notice any edges that come up, just hold them with care, not trying to make them go away. And you can call in a sense of support, whether that's a loved one, spiritual entity, pet or animal, place or experience that helps you to feel like your fullest, safest, most vibrant and fluid self. Taking a moment to notice what it's like to be with your fullest self. Notice if it's easy or difficult. Notice how it shifts over time. Notice the way you hold your body, your spirit. Again, if there is confusion, if there are edges that are uncomfortable, No reason to fight with them, just gently notice and hold them with care. Take 1 or 2 more breaths with this. And just to close the practice, whatever gesture feels the most caring, give yourself a little bit of gratitude. It's taken a lot for all of us to get here in many different forms, obviously very different journeys for all of us. And as you're ready, we'll orient back to our fuller gathering.
Oh, thank you, Bill.
Welcome.
I was just fully laying on Lisa and fully relaxed and loved that. Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna take a little bit of a break now before we get to the last 2 presenters. So I just wanted to offer again that if you're feeling inspired by this space and you want to support the presenters and organizers, feel free to donate via Venmo at Wild Ride Collective with the subject Queering Spirituality. And we're gonna take like a 5 to 7 minute break right now. And just, go take care of yourself, get a snack, do what you need to do, and come back here. It's 3:20, so let's try to come back around like 3:25, 3:27 for the final 2 presenters. And thank you to everyone who's presented so far. I hope that you're all feeling the intensity and magic and power that's coming out of this space. And I'm excited to continue with you in about 5 minutes.
Right, thumbs up if you can hear me. I didn't see it go. All right, cool. All right, I hope, actually, before I do that, I hope you got some time to replenish your body, take a bathroom break. That's why I was late back. So with that being said, I will introduce our next speaker, Del. Del's great love is a spiritual turning. It is both home and the infinite not knowing. A lifelong contemplative and radical Dharmite, white-bodied envy, Del Likens has sought truth in the form of meditation for over 2 decades. In the wish for all beings to know ease and love, Del acknowledges that we must begin by realizing our own perpetuations of harm. This includes seeking to find right effort as a white person healing in traditions historically practiced by people of color. Del's anchoring thread is an aspiration towards right-seeing humility and authentic relationship love. Their personal and guided practices invite intimacy with the wounds that the cis-hetero-imperialist white supremacy culture has bred within all of us. This intra- and interpersonal intimacy can birth connection to the divine, offering guidance towards healing that springs forth in connection. Having studied and practiced meditation in Shambhala, Hridaya, Zen, and other informal forms, Del has been offering critical and embodied mindfulness practices at Begin Within, for the last 5 years. Their podcast, Queering Mindfulness, and blog, We Begin Within, are available now. This fall, they will seek a systems-based MCFT counseling degree at Lewis and Clark College in so-called Portland, Oregon. Thank you, Del, for sharing space with us, and I will pass it over to you.
Goddess, thank you so much for your invitation to be here. Thank you all for your presence and commitment today to being here. I'm really honored. And thank you for reading my very wordy bio. Oh boy. So yeah, one thing that has occurred to me in the course of our practice today is that I appreciate these sort of intention offerings, introductions. My intention with the practice that I'm going to lead today is to offer up some contact and connection with love, the potent, fiery power, love. And a lot of in my experience, that happens in the heart center. So, but before I do that, I just want to tell you a little bit about where I'm coming from today. One thing my bio didn't mention is that I'm the child of an alcoholic who was the child of an alcoholic. I come from a long line of people who have lived and suffered in addiction cycles for a long time. And that for me, my spirituality is deeply connected to reclaiming my right to be, my sense of wellness and pursuing that and learning what that means, coming from family systems and origin stories that don't have a real anchor in that way. And so for me, one of the core pieces of my spirituality is what I call an allegiance to life. I pledge my allegiance to aliveness and to being alive and to encountering life as it is, and in all of the ways that I get a chance to experience that. So my hope today is that this practice, what we call blowing on the embers of the heart, will help you encounter your allegiance to life, whatever that means to you, and the depth of your aliveness that relates to your queerness. Let's see what we find. So I'm gonna offer this practice today in a seated position, but if you're comfortable lying down, if you're up in your fort, Emma, loved it. Please be comfortable, take care of your body. That's priority one. Okay, so in the meditation practice, the seated meditation practice, I'm gonna just help you offer some guides around posture. The first thing that my teacher instructed me is that the beginning of meditation starts with a 3-point posture with the sits bones and the legs. So we're creating a bit of a tripod to give that sturdiness. Again, if you're laying down, please take what is helpful and leave the rest. So from this tripod place, we get that sense of stability and allow some rootedness to the earth to start to come down. Taking a moment to begin. Feeling the weight of our body and the contacts on the floor. From here, we allow the spine to come upright and relaxed from the pelvic floor. And just noticing tension you might be holding in your shoulders, around your neck, allowing those shoulders to come loosely off the spine, to come hang sort of backwards, allowing the chest to open. And from here, we're already breaching one duality. Our bodies have this incredible capacity to hold both strength and softness at the same time. The strength of your upright spine and the softness of your belly. Let yourself breathe into both of those things a little bit more. And if you're wondering about what to do with your eyes or your head, the practice that I've been taught involves casting your gaze about 45 degrees downward so that your chin is slightly tucked and we're elongating the cervical spine to relax it there. Really allowing for the strength of the spine to be present. And there's a lot to learn from the spine. And you can go ahead and close your eyes all the way, or if you like, lower your eyelids about halfway and go ahead and soften your gaze so that we're still aware of our surroundings, but beginning to have more of that internal focus. One of my favorite musicians, Joanna Newsom, says, "My heart is a furnace full of love that is just and earnest." And I'm sure all of us at times have felt hearts aflame, that fiery passion of feeling. In our world, with so much beauty and so much suffering, it makes sense that our heart goes in waves, or that our ability to feel that intensity naturally waxes and wanes. But today, as we begin this practice, I want to invite you to center your aliveness in this moment. Center and begin with your original feeling state. To extend love to life, to cultivate an allegiance to life, means cultivating an allegiance to ourselves as well, to our well-being, to our dignity. Landing again in our embodied experience, feeling whatever parts of your body are in contact with the earth, allowing a sense of rooting to go down, feeling those contact points of gravity in your body, the flesh hanging off your bones, tending to those experiences and feelings. And as we are here on earth, we're also held by the sky, allowing the richness of our atmosphere and weather patterns, the sun and the moon, all above us, the heavens, as they call them, to be almost sandwiching us. Here we are in the dignity of being a human dignity. You may want to place your hands on your chest and your belly, or notice anywhere where where you can really tune into your sense of breathing. Breathing in breathwork is, Rev Angel once said, the one thing that all human beings have in common is breathing. Noticing in your body where you can feel that sense of breath most acutely. Maybe it's in the rising and falling of your belly. Maybe it's in pressure and temperature sensations at the base of your nostrils. Coming into contact with that breathing, natural, spontaneous life force breathing. Taking a few more moments to dwell as we are and land. Now, if you like turning slightly towards the visualization aspect, I invite you to come into contact with the felt sense and the feeling of your heart center. Perhaps you'll notice sensation there. See if you can tap into either the motion or perhaps heat, and allowing yourself to see the aliveness of your heart, of your organ of loving, one of many. This center. And with your inhale, I invite you to take in life force energy. And on your exhale, I invite you to see these embers of your heart, the hearth, the home of your heart, and blow gently on these small red embers. Again, inhaling life force energy, blowing gently, stoking these embers of your heart. To be in allegiance to life, to be in relationship with life. We get new opportunities for this every day, every moment. And in the profoundly overwhelming multitude of aliveness that there is to be connected to, in relationship with, to be loyal to, let us foster and nurture our own aliveness in this moment. Blowing again on the embers of the heart. Stoking that fire. Noticing any sensations that may be arising. Noticing any energy that might be moving in your body. Allowing for that. Listening to that. This is one way to encounter our home, our individual homes and our bodies and our ways of relating. The power of love that can be misconstrued and can be whitewashed and lost in too many ways, but that is still a profoundly powerful ally and friend in the work of unlearning all the ways that we are disconnected to life, to each other, to the land, to our basic goodness, to our dignity, to our complexity. Blowing, blowing, nurturing, cultivating, stoking and nourishing ourselves for the duration of living, showing up in the gifts. Take a few more breaths here. See if you can get closer to those embers. Noticing the sensations of this flame inside you, this life force energy that you are. Slowly beginning to release the practice. Just resting for a few moments more in the sensations that are alive in your body. Noticing where you've been drawn, what has moved for you. As we begin to return to the large group, I invite you to seal your practice in any way that feels meaningful to you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so, so much. Ugh. Love you. Love you all.
Thank you, Del. That felt very nourishing and grounding. Okay, Next up, we have Goddess, our final presenter and magical co-creator of this space. Goddess is the founder of Sunseed Community, a platform for the practice of collective healing. The intention of SSC is to feel into and sit with emotional, mental, and physical trauma while acknowledging whiteness, cisheteronormativity, and patriarchy through their podcast, consulting, workshops, and group and individual container building. Creating Goddess's tools of liberation took a whole community of support, and they hope their village's stories can resonate with others. They graduated from the Healing Arts Institute of Massage in October of 2018 and continue to explore therapeutic and spiritual practices. You can usually find them in the pagan section of the bookstore, sitting in the back of concerts, caressing crystals at your local metaphysical shop, or binge watching old sci-fi movies while cooking. Let's play, let's discuss, let's share our stories, and let's welcome Goddess.
Hi, y'all. Again, thank you for the introduction, Emma. And thank you for creating this space with me. It's definitely been a wild ride. All right. So I will share a bit about where I'm coming from with what I have to offer today. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and at 18, I officially left the cult. And then a few years later, after moving to Colorado, I met my crone, which is in certain, I would say, European witchcraft. Your crone is the weaver of the web. They are the one that creates covens. So in my learning coven, this was the first spell that was taught to me. However, it has been adapted to protect from whiteness. So in honor of my pagan practice that is now changing, and in honor and remembrance of the lives that we have lost to whiteness, I give you this spell. So I might be talking a little bit fast. So Brandon will be posting a PDF of the worksheets that go along with the spell, so you can go through it yourself when you have time, and there's also sections that you can write in to spice it up with your own magic. So when I say protection from whiteness, I want us to first kind of settle into how that hits our bodies. Does it make you feel defensive, stir up feelings of anger, sadness, relief? I invite us to take all those feelings into this ritual. So when I say whiteness, I'm talking about the overarching global system of oppression that hurts all of us. But it does significantly give the illusion of protection to white-bodied people, and that's powerful. So why do we need this protection spell? Well, because Black, Brown, and Indigenous people are being murdered, period. We know this. We see it on the TV, and it's and there's so many that we actually don't see on the TV and in mainstream media, and I want to bring that up too. And it's the reason that spurred this spell for me. Kind of my own act of calling it in and centering in my practice that I've lived. So how we are calling in magic? Well, energy is abundant and has no beginning nor end. With the least amount of magic, you can impact a great deal. So if we think about this spell as a train, so each of us are getting on this train of intention, this train of a spell, and each of us are bringing our own ritual into it. As we go along, another person casts the spell, and another person casts the spell. And each time we bring our resource energy into that train, we are a catalyst for it, pushing it forward, having it continue. So this is a spell that won't stop. It'll continue, and it builds every time another person casts it, every time we practice it in our day-to-day life, and every time we remember it. So who for? So this spell can be performed by everyone to amplify the prayers and cries of BIPOC voices. White allies and comrades may not use it to protect white people. It will come back threefold. That is the rule within my practice. And within European witchcraft, that things come back to you threefold, whatever spell you do. So the point of this spell is to decenter white folks and to center BIPOC people. So yes, you will be affected indirectly, but the point of the spell is to benefit BIPOC people, and in turn, because the personal is political, it will come back to you and benefit you too. It's a collective. So what you'll need for the spell or incantation itself, you'll need molasses, You'll need a jar and representations of whiteness within the jar. So I just went to the Dollar Tree and literally got a toy soldier, a police officer, and a white farmer to also represent the monocropping and murdering of our land by commoditization of our crops. Anyway, let me not go on a tangent. And then after we do the spell, you can either put it in your freezer to completely thwart any attacks, both energetically or physically, or you can use that molasses, like I said, to slow it down, giving the person who the attack is being on to have time to move, or the person who is bringing in the attack to have time to rethink, renegotiate what they're doing. So this is the incantation, and words are very powerful. Every word we say is a part of the spell. Communication in our day-to-day life is spells themselves. So we want to all make sure that we're saying the same incantation to build up that power. So the incantation is, to the Black, Indigenous, and people of color who pray and wish for protection from the energetic and physical attacks of whiteness. May this find you and wrap you in safety and peace. Just want to take a moment to let that sink in and notice what words stick out to you. So next, you'll want to gather your tools, and that includes cleaning your space. Whenever I do a spell, it's important that both energetically and physically the space I'm working with and my body is clean. It's kind of like that idea of like a cluttered mind. Not a lot gets through and you don't get to produce a lot. It's the same thing when doing a spell. So you'll want to make sure you clean the space you're working in. And then you can sage, use rosemary or bay leaves, herbs that help in cleaning the space. I love bay leaves because they don't deplete and use up a lot of the sage. Sage has become really popularized. So sage and rosemary are my new go-tos. And then you want to create white light. A lot of the terms I might be using are kind of foreign, and I only have a certain amount of time to talk. So if you have any questions about any of the terminology I'm using, please reach out to me or put it in the question section, and we can answer it later. But creating white light is about calling in what grounds you and centers you so that you can be your whole self for this ritual and feel safe. And then you want to create the circle itself. So when I create my circle, I do watchtowers aka the elements. So I have earth, wind, fire, and air. In other spiritual practices, there's other elements, whatever speaks to you. You might work with an altar, or you might use your entire space. Usually, especially when I'm living by myself, my entire space becomes my working space. And so I create a protective barrier around the entire space. And you'll want to have all your tools easily accessible. So similar to the summit today, you'll want to make sure you have food around you, any ritual tools, any tools that speak to your spiritual practice, a yoga mat, pillows. If you're working with herbs, be really intentional about the herbs that you're using and what kind of herbs that you want to bring in. Today I'm smoking mullein. And then I have my sage, and I have a couple other herbs surrounding me that really ground me in my practice. And then you'll want to think about the time of day and the time of month that you're doing it in. If you're a person who menstruates, do you want to do it then because that has certain powers linked with that? Do you feel more powerful in the daytime with the sun or in the nighttime with the moon? I do my practices with the moon. And so you'll want to find a time that feels right for you and really set aside quality time for this. And then you'll cast the circle. So next you're gonna name it. So this involves saying what feelings, sensations, and thoughts come up when you think about the attacks on BIPOC bodies. Really think about that. Do you experience fear, anger, all of those things? This is now the time to say those and name those. You can do that while calling in your watchtowers. If you're working with a coven or a group of people on this spell, you can talk to them, actually have conversations. If you're doing sex magic, before doing the sexual act, talk to your lover about the feelings that are coming up around the work that you're doing. And you're going to use those feelings as a catalyst. So when I think of the murdering of my people, I have this really tight chest feeling. It's like being suffocated. And it feels like compression of my heart. And then anger. And this red hot heat comes out of the back of my head. And naming that, we're going to call, these are going to be like our wood that we stoke our fire with for the next part. So now that we have our wood, we're going to stir it up. We're going to shake it up and loose and build that fire. So take what you named and create and act around it. Dance, sing, have sex, do art. Sex is also art. Do some breath work. You want to stoke that fire. Our pain and our traumas, all of those things, like Shirley was bringing out in her meditation, are things that we remember, but they don't have to be what define us. And so we're using those embers in order to stoke the fire and shake it out. So after you built that fire and you feel that heat in your body, that is the energy, that's the magic that you've just built. And you're going to put that outward by taking your jar, saying the spell, and putting the molasses in and covering the jar. And then that is the actual release and energy that you put into the incantation and into the object. So once you're done doing the actual spell, you're going to either, again, want to put it in your freezer or put it in a visible part of your home so that when you see it every day, you're reminded of the spell and it builds on it. And that way we are stepping out into the world with the idea in our mind, how do I manifest this intention? How do I make sure that my body protects other Black bodies, other Indigenous bodies, other people of color? How do I make sure that I am disrupting the systems that we know systemically harm these people? So then you're also going to want to practice aftercare. You have done a lot of freaking work. I can feel it now, even just talking about the spell. Spell work, usually I'm exhausted, or quite honestly, I want to poop. So when of those happen, you might want to take a nap. You might want to use the bathroom. I love to draw a nice bath and fill it with herbs. If you want suggestions on herbs that replenish the body and the soul, please reach out. I'm always happy to give herb blends. And you might just want to cry. You might want to journal. Whatever you need to settle and feel into this. Yeah, this is a very spell work is very serious, and it can be very fun when you're doing it. However, the process needs to be treated as sacred and careful, because when we intentionally are casting spells, the veil is very thin, meaning the physical world we live in now and the spiritual world, the spirit world, the boundary lines get thinner. And so you want to make sure that you're protecting yourself. You want to make sure that you're making a space in which if something happens, you are grounded enough to come back to your center, like what Bill talked about with coming back to our wholeness. And so if you have questions about the spell or are hesitant and want clarification on anything, please reach out to me. Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you. I have spoken.
Oh, thank you, Goddess. Thank you for offering also something so tangible to work with, especially during this time, during the pandemic, and when there's a lot of bearing witness to injustice and violence against the BIPOC community disproportionately. And also, I just looked at your worksheet and it's so beautiful. So thank you. I'm excited to work with this, and yeah, I feel like I just got such a clear instruction for how to do that in a very like practical, tangible way. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, so we're arriving at the end of our space together. And I think maybe can we just take a minute collectively to feel whatever we're feeling in this moment, and reflect on all of the stuff that came up for us during this time, and really allow for all of it, you know, the anger, the love, the grief, the joy, the stress, the ease. And maybe give a little bit of thanks to yourself for showing up in this space. And give some thanks to the presenters and what they offered. Give thanks to the queer spiritual leaders, especially from the BIPOC community, who have come before us and allowed us to have this container today. Give thanks to Brandon for moderating. Give some thanks to Goddess and Sunseed community for putting this together. extend some thanks to me, Emma, and the Wild Ride Collective. And yeah, Goddess, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just gratitude. This has been so enjoyable. So enjoyable in the moment of listening to all of you. And also to reiterate, really big thank you to Emma and the Wild Ride Collective for initiating this summit. And thank you to all of our presenters and to each and every one of you who clicked, yes, I want to join this, because now we see you and we hope to stay connected. Please look out for an email from us, just so that we can keep touch base with you, and also share the recording. Someone asked if it was going to be shared for later, and yes, it will. So yes, thank you. This has been so nourishing on a Saturday during a pandemic.
Yeah, I think if you, again, I just wanted to offer that we're both, you know, learning as we go in this process of building collectives and community and engaging in the work of unlearning whiteness and cisheteropatriarchy, and that it's a process, and we're super open to feedback for how you experience this space, and that can, you know, if you want to shoot us an email and tell us, like, have a kind of more personal connection around it, we're open to that. And we'll also be sending out a follow-up email with a form that you can fill out with just some reflections on how this space worked for you. And again, if you feel inspired to support the presenters and the organizers for their time and energy in putting the space together, Brandon just dropped some wisdom in the chat for how to donate and how to connect with Goddess and myself. And I also just wanted to share that as the Wild Ride, if you're wanting to connect and like collaborate on other spaces, I'm also available to, you can shoot me an email there as well. I don't know, Goddess, if you wanted to talk about your future plans.
How do I see myself? Yes, so Sunseed Community is currently looking to co-create with the BIPOC community, and priority space is given to QT BIPOC folks. We meaning I currently, I'm also down to speak at any other events if there's white-bodied folks who want to spread the love and the sunshine of Sunseed Community. I'm always down to talk. And if you're looking to become a supporter of the Sunseed Community, also please reach out. My podcast is up. It's a couple people you've been on there, Emma, and also Bill has been on there. I'm trying to get Dell on there. So you want to check that out, and all those links were in the reminder email, but they might be also in the other emails going out. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna just also type in here our how to follow the Wild Ride on Instagram too, because that's kind of our main platform for sharing about what we're up to. But yeah, thank you everyone so much. I hope you have a beautiful Saturday. Yeah, please reach out if you have any ideas or concerns or thoughts about this space. And again, if you really loved your fort and you feel like sharing with me, I would love to see it.